So I'm gonna make a movie about my top 10 shows, no in particular order. This is just my list of what I've found to be the most memorable shows, or shows that I can rewatch without hesitation and I love. One, X-Men, the animated cartoon from the 90s. I love the character development, the fact that they have multiple characters with their own storylines. However, a caveat I would say is X-Men Evolution has better written story, that all the characters are more fleshed out and there's not so many loopholes, or you don't have to be an X-Men connoisseur or of the comics to know all these characters off the bat. X-Men Evolution goes to each one, gives them their own story and their own individual character development. Teen Wolf is the show I've been rewatching lately. It's another great show, particularly season 3A and 3B is what I'm rewatching now. I remember this season the most, and it's the one it has most of the characters that I love, are most memorable characters that I love in this season's. Lost, one of the most phenomenal shows I could ever think of. I can't even break down how great it is. That leads me to my next show, Once Upon a Time, by the same creative writing team. That's why those shows have do something that most TV shows try to emulate now. Fast forward, flashbacks, side to side showing of characters, their stories, how that impacts their everyday life. Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a show that I just got done rewatching. I didn't finish the end originally when it was on air, but it is a show that has touched my heart deeply, and it's a show that I am forever enamored with. I love history, so the Egyptian part about the Egyptian gods and going back into Egypt and about old times and how that affects present day. That's very much something I'm very interested in. The show Charm, the originals with the '90s, rest in peace Shannon. That's a show that my mom rewatches all the time, and I know the episodes like the back of my hands. The first 5 seasons to me are masterpieces. After that, that's something totally different. But these are shows that I can talk about for days and days. Shameless. This is a show that I found that I'm in love with. The writing is not. The writing is complicated. I'll say that. The characters are very complicated. They're not very black and white. They're very developed. They all have their own personalities, and you see those personalities expand throughout the seasons. Degrassi: The Next Generation. This is by far one of my old passions. The first 9 seasons, I could tell you like the back of my hand. I knew all the characters. I could tell you their backgrounds. I could tell you how they changed. I could tell you what episode, what season, when a new character joined, when a character left, when a character was written off, everything about the show. I will say that Degrassi, like Lost, are two shows that have the most diverse casting ever done. And this was done before you had to have a quota of a certain ethnicity or a culture or a representation. These are just people that happen to be in this show. And that to me is why I try myself as a writer to have representation and, not, and be inclusive as much as possible, because we're just people. And I think that these shows do a fantastic job of showing that. And in particular with Degrassi, this show has all young faces. No known actors are known to the level they are now. They all were pretty much young actors who were just doing theater or just done 1 or 2 shows or commercials. So this is why. And if you watch the show, because especially the first 5 seasons in particular, all those actors, you can see the development. You can see, hey, they went and got acting coaches. Hey, they really owned their craft. They really made that character their own. And anybody who's seen this show or heard about this show knows what I'm talking about. The Magicians. The Magicians say the most powerful line I've ever heard in television. Pain, life comes from pain. And I think that's very true. I think we all have our moments of pain, doubt, and whatever. And I think that this show showcases that's how magic is developed. And if you believe in God or a higher power, this is really interesting because you're believing in something without really knowing. You're having one faith, and that's pretty much the theme of my writing, and the theme I've touched upon multiple times: faith, hope. That's just something I find very interesting. Animal Kingdom. That's a show that I love. The Cody family. I can tell you about that show more than I. I'm sad that it ended. These are shows I'm really sad that ended. That I wish that we can get revivals. Gilmore Girls. This is a show. This is an honorable mention. This is a show that I love. I am not a fan of Rory as an adult. We watching the show and all the nepotism she got and just squandered it and just felt entitled to what she got, and then even didn't even take advantage of it like the other characters around her. So that really pisses me off as watching it from a new lens. But the other characters are pretty much they stay true to who they were and they impacted the show very well. I will throw in a bonus season, or I guess the true honorable mention, Grey's Anatomy, a show that I'm still watching. I don't think it's the best show. I'm not a hardcore fan. I couldn't tell you a character's name or why they left or anything like that, but it is a thing, something that I do watch. That I believe if you start a show, watch it to the end. So that's why I am still watching the show. And just ended season 21, and I'm excited for season 22 because they left it on a cliffhanger as always. That telenovela of a show is going to be on forever as long as Meredith is narrating the show. But I love the fact that the show is it once upon a time did have the most diverse cast. You any that kind of representation you wanted on the show, Grey's Anatomy had it, but that's neither here nor there now because they've like most shows now become into we need to save money, so we're going to cut characters, we're going to cut budgets, we're going to cut, and you're seeing that because a lot of shows are being canceled. One show in particular that I'm really bummed that got canceled would be